Ethan Varro's boots sank slightly into the soft, violet soil as he stepped off the shuttle onto the alien world. The sky was a strange mix of orange and purple, clouds twisting in patterns he had never seen before. Towering plants with glowing veins stretched toward the sky, and creatures with translucent wings darted between them, making soft, humming noises that echoed like music. Everything about this planet screamed danger, yet also beauty, a combination that made Ethan's pulse quicken. He had come as a scout for humanity, sent to observe and report on new civilizations, but something told him this mission would not stay simple. Already he felt the tension in the air, a vibration he could not explain. The planet had life, yes, but it had intelligence. And intelligent life was always unpredictable. Ethan moved carefully through the alien forest, scanning the surroundings with his portable sensors. The readings were unusual. Small energy fluctuations hinted at technology nearby, though it was unlike anything humans had recorded before. His heart raced as he followed the signals, curiosity battling caution in his mind. Then he saw them. Through the thick vegetation, he glimpsed a clearing. In the center, an enormous figure moved gracefully. It had a humanoid shape, but its skin was a glossy, iridescent green, and its limbs were elongated, ending in delicate yet strong fingers. Its head was crowned with a series of ridges that shimmered with color, and its large, multifaceted eyes reflected intelligence and authority. Beside the figure was a small child, similar in shape but much smaller, with bright, curious eyes that seemed almost human in expression. Ethan froze. The figure was the queen. He knew immediately. Her presence radiated authority. Every movement, every glance commanded attention. And yet she seemed gentle with the child, her touch careful, protective. Suddenly, a shrill cry split the air. From the edge of the clearing, shadowy shapes emerged, hostile creatures moving with speed and precision. They were alien, like nothing Ethan had ever seen, with armored exoskeletons and claws that glinted under the alien sun. They were predators, and their target was clear: the Queen's child. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He could not let them succeed. He had no weapons, no backup, only his training and his mind. Without hesitation, he grabbed a fallen branch, sharp at one end, and sprinted toward the attackers. His movements were precise, calculated, and fearless. The first creature lunged at the child, but Ethan swung the branch with all his strength. The creature recoiled, giving the child a moment of safety. Another attacker came from the side, faster than Ethan expected, but he twisted, using the momentum to trip it over a root. One by one, he kept the predators at bay, moving with a combination of agility, logic, and courage that the aliens had never seen. The Queen's eyes widened as she watched him. Humans were supposed to be fragile, she had believed, but this human risked everything to protect what she held most precious. The Queen felt something unfamiliar stir within her, respect, awe, and gratitude all at once. She had fought wars, defended her people, and yet the courage of this single human amazed her. The battle was brief but intense. Ethan's lungs burned, his muscles screamed in protest, but he did not stop. Finally, the last attacker fell back into the forest, its cries fading into the distance. Ethan stumbled forward, barely keeping his balance, the effort and injuries catching up with him. His vision blurred. His body, pushed beyond its limits, could go no further. He collapsed onto the soft soil, barely conscious. The Queen rushed forward, her long limbs moving with surprising speed. She scooped up her child and fell to her knees beside Ethan. Her eyes, usually commanding and controlled, now shimmered with emotion. The child clung to her, sensing the danger had passed, yet still aware of the strange human who had saved them. Ethan's eyes fluttered open. He saw the Queen kneeling in front of him, her expression a mixture of shock and reverence. He tried to speak, to explain, but his voice came out as a whisper. You're safe," he managed. "Child safe." Because it was the right thing to do. No one deserves harm, especially a child. The aliens around them watched in silence, realizing that humans were capable of courage and selflessness beyond what they had imagined. Ethan tried to push himself up, but his body refused. His limbs felt like lead, and the world tilted around him. The Queen placed a hand gently on his shoulder, steadying him. "You are extraordinary," she said. "We have underestimated your species." Suddenly, movement in the distance caught their attention. The shadowy creatures had regrouped. Their eyes glowed with malice, and they were preparing another attack, larger this time. Ethan's mind raced despite his exhaustion. He could not fight again, not in his current state, yet he had to protect the Queen and her child. The Queen sensed his struggle and nodded. "You will rest. We will handle this." Her words were commanding, and the aliens around her began to mobilize, forming a defensive perimeter. Yet even as they moved, their eyes betrayed something new: curiosity, respect, and a hint of fear for this human who had changed everything with a single act of bravery. Ethan tried to rise once more, his body trembling. "No, I can help," he said. "They'll come closer." They were no longer just human and alien. They were allies bound by courage and respect. When he awoke later, it was in a chamber of soft, glowing light. The walls were smooth and organic, pulsating slightly as if alive. Alien medics moved around him, applying treatments he had never imagined. His wounds were severe, but the technology was beyond anything humanity possessed. Yet it was the care, the deliberate attention that struck him most. These beings had risked themselves for him as he had risked himself for their child. The Queen entered the room, her presence immediately commanding attention. She knelt beside him once more, though this time it was more gentle, a gesture of protection and gratitude rather than awe. "You saved my child," she said simply. "You have proven that humans are more than legends." But here in the heart of their civilization they saw truth. Humans could be fearless, clever, and unexpectedly strong. Perhaps they thought humans were not just visitors, they were something more. Ethan, lying there, could feel the weight of what had happened. He had come as a scout, a mere observer, but now he was part of something bigger. He did not yet understand the full scope, but one thing was clear. His actions had changed the way an entire species saw humanity. And for the first time, he realized that humanity itself had a power that was not just physical, but moral. The power to inspire, to protect, to stand against impossible odds. As the alien night fell outside, the chamber bathed in a soft glow, Ethan drifted into a deep sleep, his body healing, his mind alive with possibilities. The Queen remained at his side, watching over him, her thoughts a mixture of wonder and calculation. This human, small and fragile by comparison, had shown strength that even her species had never seen. She knew the future was uncertain, but for the first time she felt hope. Somewhere deep in the forest, the shadowy predators had retreated, but they would not forget. Nor would the larger powers beyond this planet. And as Ethan slept, he unknowingly became the spark that could ignite a chain of events reaching far beyond this world, a symbol of humanity's courage in the face of the unknown. When Ethan awoke, the light in the chamber was softer than the blazing sun he had left behind. It was not the kind of light that hurt the eyes or forced him to squint. It was warm, calm, almost gentle. He blinked, trying to focus, and realized the room itself seemed alive. The walls pulsed slightly, as if breathing with him, a rhythm that made his own heartbeat feel steady and slow. The first thing he noticed was the alien queen kneeling beside him. She held her child in one arm, and with the other she touched a glowing panel embedded in the wall, controlling something beyond his understanding. Her eyes, multifaceted and radiant, never left him. There was no hostility, no fear, only a careful watchfulness, and Ethan realized respect. He tried to move, only to feel a dull ache spread through his limbs. Every muscle protested, every joint screamed, but the injuries that had almost killed him were slowly being treated by the alien technology surrounding him. A soft hum filled the air, vibrating through the floor and walls. It was as if the chamber itself were alive, tending to him. "You are awake," the Queen said. Her voice was firm, melodic, carrying authority in every syllable. The child peeked over her shoulder, eyes wide, curiosity shining. "You survived what no human should survive." In our history, such actions are rare. Courage alone does not protect, one must have skill and wisdom as well. And you, she paused, her gaze locking on his, you have all three. And yet here he was, being praised by a being whose entire species had never seen humanity firsthand. Ethan's mind began to wander, trying to process what had happened. The creatures that had attacked them were still out there, lurking somewhere in the forests beyond. They would not forget, and he knew this. There were larger forces at play, forces he had not yet seen. And yet, despite the danger, he felt a strange sense of purpose. The Queen and her child were now inextricably linked to him. Their survival had become his responsibility. The Queen seemed to read his thoughts. "Do not worry about the creatures," she said. "They will not harm us now. Our people have prepared defenses." Outside the chamber, he could hear a faint movement, soft steps and whispers in a language he could not understand. The aliens were watching him, studying him, learning from him. It was not just curiosity, it was analysis. Every action he had taken, every choice, had been observed and recorded by these beings. "You have made them reconsider what they thought of humans," the Queen continued. "Before today, your species was a story told with caution and fear. Now they see you as more unpredictable, dangerous in a way. Your courage is not guided by instinct alone. It is guided by choice. That makes you unpredictable, and it makes you strong. There were numbers, symbols, lines connecting points he could not decipher. Yet even without understanding, he recognized the strategic value. The Queen's species had thought this planet safe, controlled, their territory secure. And yet even here threats existed. "Ethan Varro," she said, her voice lowering to a serious tone, "there is more at stake than you realize. The creatures you fought were not the only ones. Larger powers are watching us. Powers that would see this world enslaved or destroyed. Your actions have altered the balance." People often assumed they were weak, unprepared, or incapable of surviving the dangers of space. And yet time and time again, humans had proven otherwise. Perhaps this was one of those moments, a small spark igniting something larger. The child stirred in the Queen's arms, reaching toward Ethan again. This time he smiled and allowed the small hand to touch his cheek. There was trust there, pure and unguarded. It was a trust he had earned, though he had done nothing extraordinary by his own measure. And yet the gesture made him realize how deeply his actions had affected them. Outside the chamber, the Queen's people were preparing. Ethan could sense it even without seeing them. The soft hum of energy, the shifting of limbs, the quiet communication, all signs of readiness. They were learning from him, preparing to defend not just their child and their queen, but the new understanding that humans were allies, not threats. Time passed in a strange blur. Ethan rested, healed, and slowly regained strength, while the Queen stayed at his side, watching over him, studying him. He had expected fear, suspicion, or indifference from her species. Instead, he found respect, careful observation, and an almost reverent acknowledgement of what he had done. "You will have to make a choice soon," the Queen said one day, her eyes fixed on him. "The larger forces will come, they will test us. Your presence here, it cannot remain a secret for long. You are now part of what is to come, whether you like it or not." From this vantage point, he could see the vast alien landscape stretch endlessly. Towering spires of organic structures reached toward the sky, glowing softly in the light of the twin suns. Alien sentries moved in precise formation below, and in the distance, he could see the forest where the previous attack had occurred. The Queen paused, kneeling once more, this time not as a sign of reverence, but as a way to observe him directly. "You have changed how my people view your kind," she said quietly. "Your courage is now a legend among us. They will follow your example just as they follow mine. I don't have armies or powers or anything like that." She was a ruler, a protector of her people, and yet here she was kneeling, humbled by his actions. The child in her arms giggled softly, unaware of the political and social changes taking place around them, but somehow sensing the safety now surrounding them. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the terraces. Ethan's heart jumped. The soft hum of the city's defenses had shifted. Something was approaching, larger and more dangerous than before. The Queen's eyes narrowed. "The time has come," she said. "You will see what I meant about larger forces. You will see why your presence here matters." This was no longer just about survival. It was about standing as humanity's representative, showing that courage, ingenuity, and choice could tip the scales even against overwhelming odds. The alien sentries formed ranks below, energy weapons glowing, shields activating. The air itself seemed to thrum with anticipation. Ethan felt the pulse of the planet beneath his feet, the presence of life, and the energy of beings who now regarded him as more than just an observer. He was part of their story, and their story was now part of his. And then the first wave appeared, a formation of creatures larger and more terrifying than those he had faced before. Their armored shells glinted under the twin suns, claws raised, wings unfurling for flight. The Queen's people readied themselves, but Ethan knew instinctively that the battle would test everything he had learned. Every ounce of courage, every lesson in strategy, every spark of human determination would be needed to protect the Queen, her child, and the fragile bond forming between two very different species. He took a deep breath, feeling the pain in his body, the ache of his injuries, and the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. And yet a fire ignited within. He was not alone. He had allies. And he had something that no creature in the galaxy could replicate: the human heart, unyielding, unpredictable, and strong. The first wave moved closer, and Ethan stepped forward, his mind clear, his body ready. Whatever came next, he knew one truth: he would not falter. He would protect them, no matter the cost, because humanity's courage was now being tested on a scale larger than anything he had ever imagined. The Queen watched him from her kneeling position, her child safe in her arms. For the first time, she felt a hope she had never known before. A human, fragile, strong, unpredictable, was standing beside her. And perhaps, just perhaps, together they could face the storm that was coming. The wind swept across the terraces, carrying the distant roars of the advancing creatures. The alien city seemed to hold its breath, and in that tense, silent moment, a bond was sealed. Human and alien, warrior and ruler, protector and child, all connected by courage, respect, and the unshakable power of choice. The twin suns had begun to set, casting long shadows across the alien city. Ethan stood on a high terrace overlooking the sprawling metropolis of the Queen's people. The glowing buildings, shaped like living trees, pulsed with soft energy. It was breathtaking, almost peaceful, but Ethan knew better. Beyond the city's borders, the hostile forces were gathering, their movements visible even from here. The creatures from before were only a small part of the threat. Now larger forces were mobilizing. Ethan could see them in formations, advancing through the violet forests, their weapons glinting in the fading sunlight. There was no doubt a major attack was coming, one that could destroy everything if not met with strength and strategy. The Queen approached him silently, her child cradled in one arm. "You understand why I brought you here?" she asked. Her voice was calm but carried authority that made even the sentries below straighten in attention. Ethan nodded. "I get it. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about showing them we can fight back together. Hope is something humans understand. We've survived impossible odds before. We can do it again." He was just one man, yet the weight of an entire species' faith rested on him. But he pushed the thought aside. Fear could not control him, not now, not when the stakes were this high. The Queen led him through the city, past vast bridges of living material that shimmered with energy. Aliens of all shapes and sizes observed him silently. Some nodded in acknowledgement, others whispered to one another. Their expressions ranged from curiosity to cautious admiration. It was clear that Ethan's actions had already reshaped their understanding of humanity. They arrived at a wide chamber where the Queen's advisors, leaders of various divisions of her people, waited. They looked at Ethan with skepticism at first, their eyes scanning him as though assessing a new species. The Queen gestured for him to speak. Ethan took a deep breath. "The creatures outside, they're organized. They'll attack again and they'll be stronger. But humans have a way of fighting that might surprise them. We use strategy, not just strength. We use teamwork, adaptability, and creativity. Because we don't give up, we don't run from impossible odds, and we learn fast. Watch us and you'll see." He trained them using human tactics, improvising weapons from their technology, teaching formations, signaling techniques, and adaptive strategies. It was difficult at first. Alien physiology was different, and many movements that felt natural to humans were impossible for them. But Ethan was patient. He studied them carefully, modifying strategies to fit their strengths. Hours passed and a bond began to form. The aliens learned quickly, but more than that, they learned from Ethan's example. They saw how he faced fear without hesitation, how he calculated risks, and how he acted decisively to protect those weaker than him. Slowly, respect turned into trust. Meanwhile, the Queen remained nearby, observing. She noticed subtle changes in her people, hesitations replaced by confidence, fear replaced by determination. She saw the potential of humans, not just as warriors, but as catalysts for change. And in her heart, she realized that humanity could become the ally her species needed, a partner to face the growing threats of the galaxy. Days passed, and Ethan grew stronger as well. His wounds healed faster with the help of alien technology, and his mind sharpened as he studied the enemy's tactics. Reports came in that the hostile forces were increasing their numbers, testing the outer defenses of the city. It was only a matter of time before they struck in full force. Ethan spent long hours mapping strategies, predicting attacks, and coordinating defenses. His human instincts, honed through years of survival training, allowed him to anticipate enemy movements. He taught the alien warriors how to use the environment to their advantage, how to set traps, and how to defend weak points. One evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of deep red and violet, Ethan stood with the Queen on a balcony overlooking the city. The sounds of the alien night surrounded them, the hum of living structures, the chatter of creatures, the distant calls of sentries. "You've done more than I imagined," the Queen said softly. "You've changed my people. They see humans differently now. They see possibility. You've shown us that courage and intelligence together can turn the tide. My people will follow you, even without my command. Together, we will protect this city, and we will protect the child." He moved through the city, checking on defenses, coordinating troops, and giving instructions. His presence inspired confidence. Where he walked, the alien warriors felt braver, more capable. When the enemy arrived, they did so in overwhelming numbers. Creatures with armored shells, claws, and wings descended on the city from the forests. Their roar echoed through the air, a sound that could intimidate even the bravest of humans. But Ethan stood firm, his mind clear, his strategies ready. The alien warriors formed lines, following his guidance. They used traps, energy shields, and formations Ethan had devised. The creatures were powerful, but the humans and aliens worked together seamlessly. They anticipated attacks, moved swiftly, and adapted to every change in the battle. Ethan fought alongside them, striking with precision, guiding the warriors, and protecting the weakest points in their lines. The queen watched from a central tower, her eyes focused on the battlefield. She felt pride and awe. Humans were not just clever, they were fearless, able to inspire and lead in ways her species had never imagined. Hours passed and the battle raged on. The city shook with the force of the fight, structures glowing and pulsing with energy as they absorbed impacts. Yet the defenders held. Thanks to Ethan's strategies, the creatures were repelled, their formations broken, their morale shaken. Slowly, they retreated back into the forests, defeated but not destroyed. When the battle ended, the city was battered but intact. Ethan, exhausted, leaned against a wall, breathing heavily. The queen approached him, her child safe in her arms. She knelt beside him, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. "You have done more than protect my child," she said. "You have protected my people, and you have proven that humans are worthy allies. Today, we have won not just a battle, but respect and trust." Whispers spread through the crowd. Humans were not fragile, humans were not weak. Humans could stand alongside them, fight, and inspire. And in that moment, Ethan realized something profound. Humanity's strength was not just in technology or numbers, but in courage, choice, and heart. The child reached out to Ethan again, touching his cheek with a small hand. The gesture was simple, yet powerful. It was a sign of trust, of bond, and of hope. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest, knowing that his actions had forged something lasting, something that would shape the future of this alien world. The queen rose, holding her child high. "Let it be known," she said, her voice carrying over the city, "that humans are our allies, that courage, wisdom, and heart are recognized. And that together we will face any challenge, no matter how great." As the sun set completely, casting the city in the soft glow of twilight, Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. The larger threats were still out there, watching, waiting. But he was ready. Together with the queen, her people, and the child he had sworn to protect, he would face whatever came next. And in that moment, humanity proved itself once again, not through dominance or power, but through heart, courage, and the willingness to stand and fight when others might flee. The city was quiet for only a moment. The battle had ended, but Ethan knew the danger was far from over. He could feel it in the air, a tension that made the hairs on his arms stand on end. The creatures had retreated, yes, but they would return, and next time they would be stronger, more organized. The queen approached him at the top of the highest terrace, her child cradled gently in her arms. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned the horizon. "They are not finished," she said. "Their next attack will be more cunning. They will not strike openly as they did before. They will try to break us through fear and deception. If they attack the city directly, my child may be in danger again. And you," her eyes softened, full of concern, "you may not survive this battle without help. I won't let them harm either of you." Each day, the queen observed, sometimes joining in discussions, sometimes simply watching. She marveled at Ethan's ability to think clearly under pressure, to inspire courage, and to teach in ways that resonated with her people. Slowly, the bond between them grew, one built on respect, trust, and mutual understanding. Finally, the signs of the enemy's return appeared. Scouts reported unusual movements deep in the forest. Shadows shifted and darted, signaling the approach of creatures unlike any they had encountered before. Larger, faster, and more organized, these forces were clearly commanded by intelligence that sought to overwhelm the city. Ethan called a meeting of the city's leaders. "They've learned from their previous defeat," he said. "This time they will use deception and speed. We need to protect the child above all, but we also need to hold the city and prevent chaos. Trust your instincts, follow the strategies we've practiced, and stay calm. You have proven yourself indispensable, and my people respect your courage." Alien warriors took positions, their energy weapons glowing, their movements precise. The city seemed alive, responding to the commands and preparations as if it too understood the danger. The first wave struck suddenly, hitting one of the outer walls with tremendous force. Ethan's heart raced, but he stayed calm. "Hold the line. Focus on coordination, not fear," he shouted, guiding squads to cover weak points. The battle was brutal. Creatures larger than before crashed into the city defenses, their claws tearing through walls, their wings whipping gusts of wind that knocked smaller warriors off balance. Ethan moved through the chaos, striking where necessary, shouting instructions, and protecting the warriors who faltered under the enemy's ferocity. From her tower, the queen observed, her heart pounding. She had seen humans in battle before, but Ethan's leadership was extraordinary. He did not fight recklessly. Every move was calculated, every risk measured. His courage inspired the aliens around him, giving them strength they might not have had otherwise. Suddenly, a breach occurred near the central plaza. A group of creatures had broken through the defenses, moving directly toward the Queen's tower. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He grabbed a plasma blade from one of the nearby soldiers and sprinted toward the breach. The closer he got, the more ferocious the creatures became. One swung a massive claw, knocking him off balance, but he rolled with the impact, striking it with precision. Another attacked from behind, but he spun, using momentum to push it away. His body was battered, but his mind was clear. He would not fail. Inside the tower, the queen held her child tightly. She could hear the battle raging outside, feel the tremors of the creatures' attacks. She prayed silently, not for victory. She knew the fight would be hard, but for Ethan's safety. He had proven himself to be more than human. He was a symbol of courage that had united two species. She could not bear to lose him. Ethan reached the breach and stood at the forefront of the defense. The creatures hesitated, sensing his presence, something unfamiliar and frightening. His eyes scanned the battlefield, calculating, predicting. Then, with a burst of energy, he led a counterattack. Alien warriors followed his lead, striking the creatures from multiple angles, using traps and shields Ethan had designed. Hours passed. The city shook, walls crumbled, and energy weapons flared. Yet Ethan and the defenders held. Slowly, the creatures began to retreat, their morale shattered, their formations broken. The city had survived, but the cost was high. Many warriors lay injured, structures were damaged, and Ethan himself was bleeding, bruised, and exhausted. The queen descended from her tower, moving quickly to kneel beside Ethan. Her child in her arms, she looked at him with a mixture of awe and gratitude. "You have done the impossible," she said softly. "You have protected my child, my people, and shown that courage and wisdom can overcome even overwhelming odds. You taught us how to fight when hope seemed lost. You inspired strength we did not know we had. Your human courage saved us all." He had become more than a scout. He was a protector, a hero, and a symbol. As the city began repairs, Ethan remained at the forefront, coordinating defenses and training. The queen stayed nearby, watching him, her respect growing. She knew that the enemy would return, perhaps in greater numbers, and that the battle for the city and for the future was far from over. Night fell and the city glowed softly under the light of twin moons. The queen knelt beside Ethan once more, the child sleeping peacefully in her arms. She placed her hand gently on his shoulder. "You are extraordinary," she said. "Your courage, your wisdom, your heart, they have changed everything. My people will never forget this day, and neither will I. I'm just doing what anyone would do." But he also knew that humanity had proven something vital. Even one human, brave and determined, could change the course of events, inspire allies, and face impossible odds without fear. The queen stood, holding her child close. "Rest now," she said. "The battle is won, but the war is not over. You have done more than protect my child today. You have become part of our future." But for the first time, he felt a deep, unwavering certainty. Humanity had heart. Humanity had courage. And humanity, no matter how small in the vast galaxy, could inspire, protect, and prevail. The queen remained beside him, kneeling, watching over the child, watching over the man who had saved them all. And in that quiet moment, under the soft glow of the moons, a promise was made, not through words but through actions. Humanity would not falter. Humanity would not fail, and together, human and alien, they would face whatever came next. Ethan drifted into a deep, healing sleep, his body battered but his spirit unbroken. Outside, the city hummed with life, warriors repaired defenses, and the queen held her child close, knowing that the courage of a single human had changed everything. The enemy would return, of that he was certain, but so would the defenders. and the bond between species, forged in fire and courage, would stand as a shield stronger than any weapon. The dawn light spread across the alien city, painting everything in shades of gold and violet. Ethan stood at the edge of the highest terrace, looking over the structures that pulsed softly with energy. The battle from the previous night had left scars, but the city had survived. Repairs were already underway, the hum of alien machinery filling the air. Yet the peace was fragile. He knew the enemy would return, and likely with greater numbers and cunning than ever before. The queen approached him quietly, holding her child. Her eyes, radiant and wide, reflected both exhaustion and determination. "The time has come," she said softly. "We cannot wait. They will attack in full force, and this time the city itself will be their target. You must act, Ethan Varro." "I have seen courage in many of my warriors," she said. "But you, human, you have given my people something greater than strength. You have given them hope, and hope can change the outcome of any battle." If they succeeded, the city and countless lives would be lost, but failure was not an option. Not while the queen and her child depended on him, not while the bond between species had begun to form. The queen gestured, and a group of alien leaders gathered around Ethan. "We follow your guidance," she said. "You will coordinate our defense. You will lead where humans would lead. And we will follow as one people. We draw them into areas we control, use their speed and strength against them, and focus on protecting the child above all." Ethan moved among the soldiers, offering guidance, checking weapons, and encouraging those who showed signs of fear. He did not speak of death or loss. He spoke only of strategy, courage, and unity. When the enemy appeared, they were like a dark wave against the bright city. Their wings spread wide, their claws sharp, their eyes glowing with malice. Ethan held his ground, signaling positions, directing attacks, and moving where he was needed most. Alien warriors followed his commands without hesitation, their confidence bolstered by his presence. The first wave hit hard. Ethan led a small group of defenders to intercept it, using traps and obstacles to slow the enemy's advance. Energy blasts lit the battlefield, and creatures fell under coordinated strikes. But the enemy was relentless. More creatures poured in, using flanking maneuvers Ethan had predicted. He pressed forward, using both human tactics and the alien training he had taught. He moved swiftly, protecting gaps in the defenses, guiding squads, and striking with precision. Every move was deliberate, every action calculated. His body was exhausted, but his mind remained sharp. He could not afford hesitation. Meanwhile, the queen stayed close to her child, moving through the inner sections of the city. Her eyes never left Ethan, and she felt a surge of trust and admiration. He was more than a protector. He was the symbol of unity, courage, and hope. Hours passed, and the battle intensified. The enemy breached parts of the outer defenses, forcing Ethan and the defenders into desperate measures. He fought with energy and determination, pushing himself past pain and fatigue. A massive creature lunged at him, claws extended, but he sidestepped, using a combination of speed and strategy to redirect it into a trap. Another attacker came from above, but he struck it down with a precise blow, protecting the alien soldiers behind him. Then the enemy focused on the tower where the queen and her child were located. Ethan's heart jumped. If they reached the child, all their efforts would be for nothing. He shouted commands, coordinating reinforcements to intercept the attackers. He moved faster than his injuries should have allowed, every step fueled by determination and responsibility. The queen watched, her eyes wide with both fear and admiration. She had faced countless threats before, yet she had never seen a being fight with such combination of skill, courage, and selflessness. Her people fought fiercely, inspired by Ethan's example. Even the youngest warriors moved without hesitation, protecting the child with determination. As the battle raged, Ethan noticed a massive enemy approaching the tower directly. Its claws were enormous, capable of tearing through walls. He realized he could not rely on strategy alone. He had to act. With a deep breath, he sprinted toward the threat, his energy blade in hand, determination burning in his eyes. The creature lunged at him, but Ethan met it head-on, striking with precision. He dodged its massive claws, using the environment to his advantage. Each strike forced the creature back, giving the alien warriors time to reinforce the tower defenses. Sweat and blood mixed on his skin, his body screaming in protest, but he did not falter. The child's safety was all that mattered. Finally, with a coordinated strike led by Ethan, the creature fell. The other attackers hesitated, seeing their leader defeated, and the alien defenders pressed the advantage. Slowly, the enemy began to retreat, their formations broken, their morale shattered. The city had survived once more. Ethan collapsed to the ground, exhausted and injured, but a wave of relief washed over him. The child was safe, the queen unharmed, and the city still stood. The alien warriors approached, cheering softly, their eyes full of respect. They had witnessed human courage firsthand and would never forget it. The queen knelt beside him, placing her child in his arms for a brief moment. The child's small fingers touched Ethan's face, a gesture of trust and gratitude that warmed his heart. "You have done the impossible," the queen said softly. "You have protected all we hold dear, and you have shown my people what humanity is capable of." We all fought together. They were allies, brave and capable, a force that could inspire and protect even in the darkest of times. As the suns rose fully, bathing the city in golden light, the queen stood, holding her child high. "Let it be known across the land," she declared, her voice strong and clear, "that humans are our allies, that courage, wisdom, and heart are recognized. And that together we will face any challenge, no matter how great." He had become more than a scout. He had become a bridge between species, a symbol of what humans could achieve when faced with impossible odds. The queen knelt beside him, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. "Rest now," she said. "You have done more than protect my child. You have changed our world. You have shown my people that courage can move mountains and inspire even the most fearful." Outside the city, the enemy retreated, but they would return. Ethan knew that. The galaxy was vast and threats were endless, but humanity had shown its strength. Courage, wisdom, and heart were forces that could not be underestimated, and as long as humans stood, there would always be hope. The queen held her child, looking at Ethan with eyes full of gratitude and respect. For the first time in her long life, she felt true hope for the future. A human had changed everything, not through domination, but through courage and the choice to protect others, even at great personal risk. The city hummed with life as repairs continued. The warriors trained, the engineers worked, and the child laughed, unaware of the dangers they had faced. Ethan had earned their trust, their admiration, and their friendship. Humanity's place among the stars had been strengthened, and the bond between species had been forged in fire and courage. And so, as the suns rose higher, casting light on a world that had faced the brink of destruction and survived, Ethan Varro stood once more, battered but unbroken. The queen and her child were safe. The city was defended, and humanity had proven beyond doubt that courage and heart could change the course of history, inspire allies, and shape the future. Ethan's story would be remembered among the aliens as the human who risked everything to protect a child, who taught courage to a species, and who proved that humans were not just survivors, but heroes. The galaxy had seen a small man do great things, and it would never forget.